everybody, to another episode of Sync Riffs. My name is Charles from Blue Buddha Entertainment. Joining me today is my co-host, Chase Walker. Morning, Chase.
Hey, morning. Happy to be here. How you doing, Charles?
We are good. We are good. Thanks, Chase. And joining us, a very special guest in the studio today, Annabel Lee. Good morning. How's it going?
It's good. I had my coffee. I'm hydrating. There's stuff burning. Everything's good.
Yes. We're in the thick of summer, but really happy to have you in the studio so we can chat about your prolific release that came out earlier this year, Mother's Hammer. And you've been busy. You've been touring. You did a West Coast tour. You had spins on K-Rock, WFNM. And for those the uninitiated, but after this podcast, you will be initiated. You would have heard Annabel Lee's tracks like Alas, I'm a Lady, Up, and Sarah, which a new video came out July 4th. We'll talk more about. But wanted to full schedule, Annabel, and would love to, go back in time and talk more about the release. I know it came out in March of this year.
Yeah.
And you worked with Justin Glasgow, who produced it. And I know he did collabs with Miko and Carrie Brothers. So would love to hear how you connected with him and sort of the inspiration for the record.
Yeah. It's hard to remember even how I connected with Justin. He just was working with so many people in the scene. When I first came out here, it seemed like every time I went to a songwriter night, everyone was like, I'm releasing an album but it was produced by Justin Glasgow. And he was like this ominous figure of the scene. And I remember just seeing him one night at a Monday at Hotel Cafe and being like, so why the hell haven't we worked together? Do you have something against me? And yeah, I mean, he and I get along really well. We're two peas in a pod. So he was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's work together. So after that, we did some acoustic stuff together, just for fun during the beginning of the pandemic. And then after I wrote the album, I was trying to find producer for it, and I didn't even have him in mind because I didn't know if he would be interested in making a rock album, because he's so good at Americana vibes, folk vibes, great at pop. He's really good at all these things, but I had never heard him do a heavier record. And so he came to me and was like, so you're making an album? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, we should talk. And I was like, oh, okay. And we worked together one day in the studio, and it was wow, the best day I've ever had in the studio in my 17 years of doing this, period. It was just we were just throwing stuff at the wall. We finished the song basically in the whole day. We did all the vocals, every instrument. The only thing we changed in the end was I don't know, we may have taken one thing out of it, but it was after that I went home and was like, this is my sound. We just nailed it. How do I not work with this guy? And we just had a good time too, which was great. But yeah, it was really a pleasure working with him and Ryan Lippman, who mixed the album. They're buddies, and they work together on a lot of projects. And then they actually looped me in with Jet Galindo at Bakery Mastering, and she was super accommodating and awesome. But yeah, I love my little creative team that I'm building. They're wonderful people.
Yeah, you guys nailed it, because I know when we first met way back, I was talking about, because when I was at Capitol Records in the 90s, you guys captured, that authentic sound of the alt rock vibe, badassery, songs like Alas, I'm a Lady. And, the through line, Annabelle, that I see, Chase and I, when we talk about your tracks is, the hooks. Sarah, Patti Smith,
Thank
So tell
you.
me about, and I know Chase wants to chime in a sec about your songwriting process. And when you Chase as an indie blues rock artist, we want to really take a deeper dive and talk about, when you when you met with Justin, was that process. I'm sure you came in and you had these hooks, and I know you went to art school, so you're an art monster. You're always creating.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, tell us about what was the first track that you guys worked on that day, and yeah.
We actually started on, I figured, I was like, I'm going to give him the weirdest song. I'm going to give him a song that doesn't have a chorus. I'm going to give him a song that has a massive, like, day in the life Beatles build at the end. And if he can nail that, then he'll probably get the record. And it was All of My Ghosts, which is the last song before, like, the little 1 minute song at the end. It's really the end of the record. And that was the first song we did. And then the last song we ended up recording was The Last I'm a Lady, which is the first song on the record. So we kind of worked backwards almost, in a sense. But yeah, I came in with the songs fully written. Like, I don't really co-write when I work with people. I'm kind of possessive. But I went in not sure where some of the songs were going to go sonically, and that was really exciting because it was like he had so many cool ideas. And like, I remember with Saltine Cracker Girl, which is this like crazy, like, aneurysm Nirvana type song. Now when I brought it to him, it was like this slow, creepy Catholic sounding thing. And I'm not Catholic, but it's like, it's using all these old religious iconography, and like, it was spooky and had all these weird harmonies and stuff, and it was super slow. And he was like, no, this is the one that starts 100 miles an hour and never lets up. I was like, what? This song? And he was, and like, I never would have thought of that myself. I would have made it into this terrifying 6-minute thing. But yeah, and I love the way it came out. It's insane. And I get to scream and all the things. But yeah, it was just fun because we have similar tastes, but different sensibilities. So our natural inclinations were different, which was like perfect for me, because like he had good opinions, his opinions were good, but they were different than mine. So I mean, it worked out in a really cool, authentic way, where we weren't really reaching or trying. We didn't have really any references for sounds. It was just kind of like, what does the song need to like hit? Because like, if I bring references in, then I'm like, oh, but it doesn't sound enough like this snare from this like Tom Waits song, but I'm not Tom Waits, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, that was kind of like part of the process, was us just kind of letting each other say our opinions and throwing shit at the wall.
No, that's killer. Because I mean, the fact that you guys had never worked together, and it just showed, the synergies were there. And like you said, you pushed each other, and he pushed you to another place of, otherwise the tracks might have just been
slow and scary. Yeah. If I was the producer, it would have been not as fun, but I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I think that's so important, though, what you just mentioned about like not having references necessarily, and just kind of working on the track to give the track what it needs to have, for nothing else than what the track needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's what I've noticed, at least in my own music creation, is that's what leads to really novel, interesting stuff. When you're not trying to chase something else, you're just sort of allowing this thing to grow into fruition, sort of,
Yeah, I think for many years I was making music that that was my biggest problem, was that I love so many different kinds of music. Literally there isn't a genre that I couldn't find something. And then like, I was obsessed with so many different things, and then I'd go into the studio and I'd be bringing in references, which I shouldn't have. Like, I had my own sound probably this whole time, but like I was obsessed with other people's sounds, and it just nothing really clicked for a long time. And it was because I was telling people, I want this to sound like Rihanna, and then I want this to sound like Bob Dylan. And, it was just like, none of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that this time around. And I think it was because I had all the time to write it, and it like, I felt like, oh, okay, like this doesn't sound like anyone else. So there's no point in me going in trying to use references.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. So I think, before we started to work together, there was a acoustic version you did live of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And so tell us about, I know, was that the first incarnation of that track? It was stripped down acoustic solo, and then when you worked with Justin, he built the arrangement around that.
Yeah, so that was the hardest one. That was the one that gave us the most trouble, because it was already this acoustic thing. And I was super hell-bent on like keeping it, I was like, this song, it should just be acoustic. And like, he was like, you already did that. He was like, what's the point? Like, let's like, build something new with it. And that one took us the most sessions, to crack. Also because it is such a crowd favorite at my shows, I was putting different pressure on it. But yeah, that song I think can live in both spaces. It can be this kind of ethereal, drippy thing, and then it can also be this like a girl with an acoustic guitar, on the verge of breaking. It can be both. And he was really open to like experimenting on that one. Like, we found the vocoder to be this thing that was like, oh yeah, so we gotta like add in that, because that's bringing it somewhere completely different. And it kind of feels like this gang vocal of like machines in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it just made it this like really cool. I feel like that song is very like purple and like metallic, and it became really just something I never would have done again by myself. I really love how it came out.
No, that's so dope, because as you were saying that, Annabelle, same with To Flip the Coin with Alas, I'm a Lady. If you strip that down, all your songs have that, quality. It could be ruckusy, over the top, or if you did a quiet acoustic version of that. And so so that's, I think, that's just a testament of your songwriting. A great song is a great song. And talking about, it's inspiring, because same with, the videos. So let's talk about your videos. So your first video, right? It was Alas, I'm a Lady. And where'd you shoot that? And there was you were on a soundstage, I believe, for that.
It was I rented out a little theater that was like, it was like a black box theater. But so my friends Yvonne and Gabriel Ovalle, they're brothers. They're both insane video artists. And I met Yvonne at Hotel Cafe. He saw me play one night and was like, we should work together. And we've just been working together pretty much ever since. And so he's like the only person I've ever met that is like entertained my visual insanity, like the just like the weird ideas. He's like totally okay with them. So, And then him and Gabriel working together is just like they're incredible. So I brought him this idea. I had this idea in the shower. Before I had a session, we were going to work on Alas, I'm a Lady, me and Justin. And I was in the shower getting ready to leave, and I had this idea of like, because the song was starting to sound, you know, at the end where there's this string, like these strings are pulling and it feels like there's an orchestra and it's about to like explode. I was like, what if this whole video is like I'm a conductor of an orchestra and I'm losing my mind slowly and like sort of like have them under my spell, you know what I mean? And so I went to Yvonne with that idea and was like, what do you think of this? And I think we got like coffee one day and like he had this whole other idea for it that was completely different. That was cool. And I was like, no, we have to do this. We have to do this thing. And he was like, all right, let me think about it. And then I met with them a couple other times and we just, we were like, oh yeah, this is going to work. We're going to figure this out. And I got a bunch of amazing friends and supporters together. I found, most of the people had instruments. Otherwise, I found them, sourced them, built my little orchestra of misfits. And it was like one day of shooting. It was the most fun, easy shoot. I thought I was going to die on the way home because we were all thinking, I was like, this is too good. What is going to go wrong? Something bad is going to happen. It was so amazing. It was so fun. And then we just made Sarah. A couple months ago. We released that last month. 3 weeks ago we released it. And
July
that
4th.
was was it on July 4th? I don't remember. Probably.
And I checked it this morning, 37,000 streams and counting.
Hell yeah, I know. It's been like week 1, it was like popping off, and we got on a Vivo alternative playlist, and that just like sent it. But it's doing really well. That was another really fun shoot. It was just me and my band. Zach, Dylan, and Sharon came through, performed, and we were just in this weird little green screen room with a bunch of gadgets, and
love it.
It was fun. It was such a blast. And then Yvonne and Gabriel made it look like 70s fever dream.
Yeah, they killed it. And, shout out to your band, Correct to Thread the Needle. So Zach Pennell on guitar, Dylan Cooper Hayden on drums, Sharon Petty on bass. And if I'm not mistaken, correct, Annabelle, they're also in Alas, I'm a Lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Oh, they do it all. They're the best. We've been a band for 5 years now. And I'm so grateful for them. It was so cool to be able to go play out of town with them recently, just to playing in LA is awesome. And I'm sure you guys know it's like you are playing for a lot of artists though. And that's different than playing for people that just love music. So it was cool to be received by people with them and for people to see our show, because I feel like we've worked really hard on our show. We continue to, and it meant a lot to me for them to be able to. I'm just excited to take them on the road forever. I hope we can do it for as long as we're able,
100%. And it kind of came back, correct, Annabelle? Was it during the pandemic or just before the shutdown? You guys played live somewhere?
Yeah, we did a drive-in concert where you would pull up to this stage and our set, you could turn on the radio station. We gave you all the information and you could hear us from inside your car. So you never had to get out of your car.
Wow.
So I got a lot of shit for that because people got up and sat on top of their cars and they were like, you're too close to them. I'm like, I didn't tell them to get in their cars, and I asked a few people if I could jump on their car, so it's not my fault that they got out of the car. But yeah, that time everyone was biting each other's head off. So
yeah, and you're like, we're still outside. They're on their cars.
It's like, yeah, it was like when we were all wiping our groceries with Clorox. That was the time we did it. So it was pretty early on.
Early days.
The fear was real. But yeah, that was awesome. We did a drive-in concert. I would love to do that again for fun. It was just such a blast.
Was that downtown LA? Where was the location? So
we did it in this at this place that we had played. Me and Ari had played a show at this guy's yard one time.
Oh, okay.
He had us play a backyard show, and he had this amazing stage that he built. He did staging for I'm such an asshole. I can't remember his name right
now.
No
worries. We'll post it later. Yeah.
Yeah. But he had this beautiful stage built in his backyard, and he had a projector where he'd show movies at night. So when me and Ari came up with this idea to do a drive-in, we were looking at drive-in movie theaters, and basically I was like, wait, remember that guy that we play the show that shows movies at his house? Let's hit him up. And he was down, yeah, and he let us do it at his house, or in his yard. I don't know if it's his house. I don't really know. See, I'm not good at remembering. But when it works, I'm like, we're gonna make this work.
Yeah. I know. If it wasn't so bloody hot out, it's that'd be the perfect summer.
Yeah, it was in Agora Hills, so it was a kind of a trek for people, but there was nothing else going on. There was no competition, so it sold out. We sold all the tickets. We filled all the spots.
Yeah, no, it's
great. It was so fun.
Killer.
But yeah, definitely not this summer. It's way too hot.
It's But so as far as new songs in the pipeline, I know you're always working on tracks. What's the rest of the year look like as far as things in the planning stages?
So I'm actually in the studio with Justin. We're working on a song right now. And I'm going in tomorrow to lay down the final vocal on it.
Killer.
Which is exciting. It's definitely a sad song, but it's I love it. I really, really love it. I hope people love it. I'm not sure when I'm gonna release it, but probably sooner than later. I don't I wish that I could just be somebody that releases albums and doesn't have to release things in between. But an album is quite an undertaking, so we might just do a little single here and there, and then on top of that, I'm just trying to get back into the swing of writing, because I've just been on such a wheel of releasing the album and pushing the album and making art for the album and playing these shows that I haven't been writing as much as I'd like to. And so that's kind of it's literally on my calendar. It's right. So I'm just trying to get myself back in writing mode right now.
Sure. Now we'll thread that needle as you were talking, Annabelle. I wanted to share your website. Love the merch. Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. I actually, you guys can be the first to know this merch. So the Annabel Lee Mother's Hammer t-shirt is still available, and the album will be, but I'm doing a merch drop with a couple of new things I designed August 1st, I think.
Okay.
Right on.
So I'm going to do monthly merch drops. So I get to design new merch every month, and hopefully people like it.
Yeah.
I got some tank tops because it's hot.
Heck yeah.
So you'll see those soon enough. I'll be promoting them, and you'll be able to grab some of those.
Very cool. So love it. So right now you got the tote bag, and then the Mother's Hammer hoodie, Mother's Hammer t-shirt. Like you said, the tank top is going to be very apropos, as I'm sure this heat spell is going to continue into the fall. And
yeah, probably. My God.
Yeah. But no, that's so dope. And just to, thread the needle before I turn the mic over to Chase to talk about, on the writing side. But on the sync side, lately, obviously we have the shutdown with the strike, but there's some shows that we're working on. And one show that's in production, they were looking for songs that reference water, river. So if there's any inspiration there on other future songs.
Is this a sync brief?
Yes, the sync brief just came in this moment. No, yeah, but no, but yeah, and then I was gonna pull up the Spotify, but yeah, I'll turn the mic to Chase real quick before we cue some tracks up. But Chase, I know you wanted to ask Annabelle about go for it.
So I'm curious to know more about your writing process, because I was a songwriting major at Belmont University, and before that I had taken private courses with a songwriting tutor. So I'm like very, I guess you could say, like classically trained in songwriting, and so there's sort of a
that's
standardized kind of process for the way that I kind of do things. And so I'd love to know kind of what your process is and how you approach the ideas that you come up with, and how you keep yourself inspired with new ideas and working on things that really, inspire you.
Let's see. God. I guess my process is more about the space I'm in. Like, I'm very particular about what the room feels like when I'm writing. I have a studio downtown now that I've like cherried out and made my ultimate sanctuary.
Nice.
But
nice.
I like to like there to be natural light, never any lights on. Something is burning in the background. There's, a candle or an incense or whatever. And usually I don't consume anything that if I'm writing. I don't really listen to a ton of music, and if I do, it's not in English, or it's instrumental, or I read. That, like, I don't really like to take in a ton of stuff when I'm writing a lot. I think it just like clouds my brain. Reading helps, actually, because I feel like when I read, I'm better at writing. And I guess, my process is really, it kind of feels like I'm getting dumped on. Like, I'll sit and I'll be like, I'm going to write a song, and usually it's trash. But like once in a while I'll sit down and it'll just be like, and I'll write it in like, 10 minutes and it's over, I remember writing, like Los Angeles, I wrote in like 10 minutes in my bed, and I was crying, and it was raining, and it's just like one of those things where, it's out,
Yeah. 100%.
Same with Patti Smith, was the same way, where it kind of like felt like it fell on me. I was reading her book, and I had this, anger about where we were as a society while I was reading the book, and I was just like, oh, I have this idea. And then I just wrote the song, maybe 20 minutes, very fast. It's very quick. I don't do a lot of thinking. I'm kind of just like letting it blah, 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 blah. And then usually the next day I'll go back and I'll see if there's editing, but I don't edit a lot either, which is, I don't know if that makes me a bad songwriter, but I think the editing is the thing that maybe when I get older, I'll edit myself more.
I'll be honest. Go
ahead.
The lyrics that I've heard in your songs, like, there's not a lot of editing that needs to be done, in the first place,
thank you.
if any, The thing about songwriting is that like there's never a point at which a song is perfect. You know what I mean? Like there's always ways that you could edit it and make it more impactful in certain ways than others.
Totally.
But yeah, I think that finding the right mindset to be in a creative mode is kind of the most important thing, because you know, as much as we can try, there is no forcing a song to be put together. You know what I mean? It'll just come out
right
entirely unengaging and unimpactful.
It's also that, like, I feel like, and this is probably going to sound very woo-woo, but like I feel like it is kind of like a ritual if I'm writing and like I'm about to like channel this thing that it's not really my idea. It's just like I'm giving space for something to come through. And like
Absolutely.
if I'm in a fluorescent lit room with a bunch of other people and my guitar is not in tune and you know it smells like shit, I'm not gonna feel spiritual enough to let something come through me. And I think a lot of times people think too much, and like myself included. I think right now that's currently my problem is like I'm not writing because I'm thinking right now.
Right.
But the second I'm able to kind of like shift from thinking and just like exist in a space, then I'm able to just like let the shit happen, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just gotta like shut it off. Shut off your brain. Is like the best thing you can do sometimes to get the song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's the weirdest thing because like when it comes to creative endeavors, the art of not trying is really what you're trying to get to, you know, like being in a mental space where you're not thinking about writing a great song, you know, you're just in an overall playful creative mood and you're not putting too much pressure on anything, and then things just kind of come out of it. They just come to you out of thin air.
It's like a meditation. It's like we're all like the thing people get stressed out with meditation is like, oh, what if I think of something and I whatever, and it's like, no, you're supposed to, like, you can't stop thinking about stuff. It's just letting it pass and like letting it go. And like it's the same with writing. It's like, oh well, this doesn't make sense and this doesn't rhyme and this is whatever. It's like none of that matters. No one cares. You know, if you're being honest, that's all that matters. And sometimes that's enough, you know?
Authenticity, Annabelle. You know, our focus over the years working with independent artists, and then it's up to us to thread your needle to the production. And just want to segue that because it sounds also with your live performances, when you prepare to get in that moment, I would imagine a similar process, light the incense, calm the mind. Because, when you perform, you bring it. So I'm sure, you know, the day before or hours before, you have that quiet moment to yourself.
I try to. It's way harder. It's way harder to somehow make that moment happen. But I do try to be really healthy the whole week if I have an important show. Sleeping, eating good food, exercising. That's always helped my show. Even if I can't have that quiet moment, I've been preparing, you know, like, and usually the time, if I know I'm not going to get a quiet moment, which I usually don't the day of a show, I'll go for a run that morning. And that will be my moment of like, you're going to lose your shit tonight. You're going to go crazy and like, you know, get my breath ready. And, but I don't know how I'm going to always do that. It's probably going to be like an ever changing thing of me trying to make that moment happen every time. But it is super important for me to get centered before I go and like, you know,
mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, when you're in your head on stage, isn't that the worst? It's the worst thing. because then you're just like, ugh, I'm on stage. Why?
Right. Got to be in the moment.
Yeah. Totally.
And before we play a track, and just a thread, because I think when we met back in the day, we might have talked about it, but taking a page out of Joe Rogan, have you ever sensory deprivation? Have you ever floated before?
I've never floated, but tell me all about it. Does it seem like I'm a floater?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you practice meditation, sensory depth, you're in the, there's no light, there's no sound, and then it's got, 1,000 pounds of Epsom salt, whatever it is, that you basically literally like you're in the Dead Sea, and it's heated to the temperature of your skin. So it's warm, and then
so you're like don't exist. You're just like a floating entity.
Your mind will take you to wherever you want to go.
Oh man,
try it.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. I think that could get very crazy for me right now.
I mean, a lot of athletes do it for, injuries and stuff like that. But from the artist perspective of, like you said, you're forced to just completely unplug. You're like, I don't have my phone here. What am I going to do? And then once you focus on your breath, before you know it, you get in that Zen state. But I'll send you guys the link. It's if you try it once, you'll be like, and then I find that because you come out of it rejuvenated. And if you do have a problem or you're thinking about a song, that might be going through your mind. But once you just kind of let it go, that state of bliss.
That's when it comes. Yeah.
So
that's wild. Yeah, I would like to try it. I'd have to be in a very good mood that day.
So, my recommendation is like, if you and Ari, you guys plan a day, and then it's like, because they have, I think there's one in Westwood, there's one in Venice. The one in Venice is right near the beach. So like you said, it could be a full day thing. You walk on the beach and you're like, let's go float. And it's a good time. But yeah, Joe Rogan, he's big into it.
Yeah, he's big into a lot of things.
Right?
I don't know if I'd do it because Joe Rogan did it, but if you know any other names, send them my way.
No, for sure. No, he's so into it. He had one built in his house, like the chamber.
God.
Yeah, it's like meditation on steroids. But so
I'll try sensory deprivation, but I draw the line at ice baths. I'm not doing it.
Oh, see, I haven't tried the ice to hot ice thing yet, but I feel like there's something to it. It's just like so many brilliant minds are doing this thing that I'm like, the Wim Hof, is it Wim Hof? I think that's the Wim Hof method or whatever.
Like that, yeah.
It's the ice, the cold. I'm interested in that actually, but not yet. Again, I'm happy in Shavasana right now. Like I'm good, just laying down in a normal climate. Know, I'm okay right now with that. It's enough for me.
So to dip your toe into the $5 version of it, I heard they say is after you're done with your warm bath, your warm shower, at the very end, turn it to cold and for like 2 minutes and just breathe, and then you get out.
And then you're cold.
I have tried that. Yeah.
Oh, you have? Did it work?
There's something to it for sure. Yeah, there's like something in the way it just shocks your body. But I can't do it every day. It's too much.
Oh my God, I would be screaming.
You'd be screaming like.
I don't know if I'd like that.
Yeah. So with that, I've got queued up on Spotify. We can play Sarah since your video came out, and then we'll post the links to your video. But yeah, I wanted to play a couple excerpts from Sarah.
Sure.
Cool. And here we go. Very nice. And the whole time while I'm playing it,
I haven't spoken her name in 3 years. I haven't felt the pain she built inside of me. All my fears. I haven't seen her eyes in 3 years. The thing she always loved the most about herself, crocodile tears. I said, Sarah, Sarah, where you been? I wanna do it again. Let me in, baby. Maybe it's too late now. Sarah, Sarah, where you been? I wanna do it again. Let me in, baby. Maybe it's too late now. Ooh, call me my ooh, call me my ooh. Maybe it's too late now. I haven't heard her voice in 3 years. The gravel and the honeymoon assaulting my ears. I haven't even dreamt of her smile, a crooked way to change my mind. She knows how to lie all the time. She used to be a rolling stone. Now she loves her past alone. She used to love the man I know, but now she loves her skin. Used to tell me I was wrong, but she knew that before too long. I be calling out again. I said, Sarah, Sarah, where you been? I wanna do it again. Let me in, baby. Maybe it's too late now. Sarah, Sarah, where you been? I wanna do it again. Let me in, baby. Maybe it's too late now.
very nice. And the whole time while I'm playing it, so the video, that video effect where there's, they do that, it's that,
The echoes of like the color.
yeah. So that was all in post, obviously. And then what was so obviously you storyboarded that with the team?
Yeah, we kind of went through a couple different things. I wanted to do a good performance of it. We did a bunch of just performances of the song. And then there were these other things I wanted to do. I learned to choreograph dance. I worked with a choreographer because I suck at dancing, but I love dancing. And I had never worked with a choreographer before. And I was like, this is a song that like, I feel like there needs to be a dance sequence. So I brought in this amazing choreographer, Caleb Kenner, and he came up with this dance. And I wanted it to be like one of those like talking heads videos where there's like, you know, I think it's, I forget what the video is. I used it as a reference. It's like the white screen and it's just David Byrne like doing all these different moves and like, you know, we did a bunch of stuff like that. There was like a painted green treadmill that I was walking on. There's a bunch of stuff going on in there. But yeah, it was really super fun. I wanted it to be somewhere between like a 70s fever dream, you know, one of those old Sabbath videos with the green screen and like a Talking Heads video meets just like us having a good time and like what our show kind of feels like.
Yeah,
So,
no, love
so
the
fun.
color tree. Yeah, execution wise. So then if you had to do another video, I'm just curious, what track would that be?
We're actually having a meeting this week for Up. So so pumped about that. And then we're gonna do one also for Los Angeles. That's gonna be like a film. So that one we've been planning it for a long time. So that one's gonna be a bit, and I need to figure out how I'm gonna do it budget wise. Can't think about that quite yet, but Up is next, I think. So I'm pumped for that.
No, and speaking of to thread the needle, because I don't know on IG, there was a music supervisor that we work with, and she was celebrating something, and she actually synced it to your track up.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, because at first, I'm new to, I don't always upload tracks, but I wasn't sure if your track was available on IG.
Oh, yeah, it should be. I think all of them are.
Okay.
Hopefully. They should be.
Every once in a while they glitch out. I actually have a couple tracks right now that are supposed to be but aren't available for some reason. So
I had that happen with Saltine Cracker Girl, actually. The day it came out, it wasn't available, so no one could repost it.
Oh.
Which was great. Really good. Yeah.
But
yeah,
that happens. That's the release business.
Mm-hmm.
So very cool. Looking forward to between. That's going to be exciting for the rest of the year. New tracks, new video. Yeah, Los Angeles. Oh man, talk about so many potential places to shoot that, and also obviously the backdrop of LA itself.
Right. Yeah, we're really excited to dig into that one, and I think we might use this really incredible camera that's like a movie camera, to make it really feel more like less like a music video and more like a short film kind of vibe. That one, yeah, we've been talking about it for a while now. We have a lot of ideas that we're still kind of like ruminating on, but I think that one's gonna be really cool, and it's gonna be like a lot of acting too.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna be acting, which will be fun. I'm excited for that.
Roosevelt Hotel in Hollywood just popped in my brain as some classic. You have your pick where you can.
So many,
right?
There's so many good spots. I would love to just, actually use the place I used to live if it's still open, because it was a shithole. It was perfect.
Right.
Yeah. So like, there'll be a lot of things that aren't just my story. I think there's going to be a couple different stories happening. But yeah, that one's going to be fun. I don't know what Up's going to be at where I have some ideas of my own. We're having our first brainstorm on Friday. So
sweet.
I'm very pumped. And I think that song, because it's catching more than the others, I think that once it has a visual, like a video to it, I think it's going to catch even more, which I'm excited for.
Yeah. And correct, before we close out, lyric, you do lyric videos. You do your own lyric videos from time to time?
Yeah. I made one for Up because I released it as a single. And me and my friend Emma Cole, who does a lot of my photography and visuals, she's incredible. And then my other confidant in art, Grace Sims, she also shoots a lot of photography for me, and we work together on the visuals for that lyric video, and then I just edited it together and made it a thing. But yeah, it's not as fun as this actual video is going to be sick, I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. 6 months left in the year, and then we always like to ask our guests what's on play or repeat right now in your car, on Spotify. Yeah, is there anything that's burning up your playlist?
You know what? Let me look. Okay. What's that song that I've been listening to? Oh,
that's the thing with Spotify.
Worship the Whip by Be Your Own Pet. That's been my song on repeat. Nice. I discovered them. I think they were on my Discover Weekly or something, and like I could not stop listening to that song. But yeah, it's really like just like heavy, punky, nasty, sexy. It's great. It's really good.
And where are they from? I haven't come across them.
Be Your Own Pet? That's a great question.
I'm just curious, huh?
I don't know where they're from, actually. I know, I'm certain that they're with Third Man Records, which is like my dream. That's how I heard of them. I follow Third Man, and they were promoting their, they're putting out a ton of music right now. Where are they from? It doesn't say. Well, I would check them out. Highly recommend. Yeah. Super fun.
Definitely.
Punk, female-led punk band.
No, right now, because it's so... They just sounded very European to me. I'm like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they're from the States.
Okay. Hell yeah. No, it's crazy because also to your point, Annabelle, looking at IG now, you know, this time frame, you know, whether it's Beastie Boys, Paul's Boutique, Massive Attack, Portishead, you know, 25 to 30 years anniversary of some seminal prolific releases back in the day. Yeah. I mean,
God damn, really?
I know.
Portishead. That was like, for me, like, oh man. Anytime I hear any Portishead song, I'm immediately transported to an exact time of my life.
I saw them play at the Hollywood Palladium, and Beth Gibbons, she was, you know, draped over the mic with her cigarette.
Yeah.
And it just accentuated her voice. It's just brilliant. But yeah, I
mean. Yeah. Yeah. They don't make them like that anymore.
I know.
What a cool band, man.
But no, hats off to, you know, carving your own sound and authenticity. That's something we always talk about Pab Podcast, of working with artists who, you know, because sync is so impacted now. There's, you know, the number of releases, number of artists out there, but at the end of the day, you know, we're always looking to connect with authentic artists. And no, the time flew by. We're so stoked to link up with you today. So thanks again for taking the time out.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope that I'm right about this band being from the States. Maybe they're not. I'm just like thinking that now. I'm like, maybe they're not. All right, be your own pet. You're awesome. I don't know anything else about you other than you're awesome. Okay, now you can put that in there.
Shout out 100%.
No, thanks for having me. This has been so fun. It's great to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, no, it's been a minute. Thank you. And then we'll post up links to your website, to your video.
Amazing.
And then, yeah, looking forward to all the rest of the year, the new music, the new video.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you so much, Annabel
Lee,
for joining us. And yeah, so with that, everybody, catch you next week on an episode of Synchronous. Subscribe, like, and catch you on the other side. Namaste.
All right. Bye.